What is going on? Welcome back. Your boy Frank is doing the intro this time. If you're watching on the video, JT is out, COVID, gonna be out this week, probably also out on the Dynasty Stonks tomorrow, but I'm kind of happy he's out because he wouldn't victory lap Bateman all episode, and I wouldn't have to freaking hear it.
Thank
but what's
God.
going on, lads? How we doing? NFL draft stream was wild. NFL draft was wild. What's going on?
It's we have a lot to talk about today, man. So much happened in this draft, and it was exciting. A lot of trades, a lot of surprising picks, a lot of fallers, risers. I don't know. I say we just jump right in.
All right. Well, Let's start off with the one non-draft thing that we're going to be talking about, and that is the DeAndre Hopkins suspension. Apparently, it came out. DHOP suspended 6 games, correct? 6 games?
Yep. 6 games.
For violating the substance abuse policy. He came out like everyone who violates the substance abuse policy and was like, bruh, I didn't do anything. My team will look into it, all that jazz. But he's going to be suspended 6 games. Kind of a rough past year and a half for Mr. DHOP, because this is going to tumble his value a little bit more. Nothing crazy, but it's going to hurt. Aside from him missing 6 games, any DHOP takes?
Honestly, I think this played probably a bigger factor than we think about the next thing we're going to talk about, which is the Hollywood Brown trade. I think the Cardinals probably got wind of this a little before everyone else did. They knew this was going to come. This was coming, and they made a move to make sure they had enough wide receivers for those first 6 games. With that being said, on DeAndre Hopkins here, it's obviously tough to see. He's going to be 30, that crazy number that you never want to see in that age column for a wide receiver. People start to get scared. I just think people are going to tumble his value more than he is. I think he's going to come back after 6 games. Week 7 on, he's going to be DeAndre Hopkins, and everyone's going to forget about it. But it's just the fact that you're going to miss out on 6 games with DeAndre Hopkins. If you have him, you're probably a contender because he's older. You're not going to want to, if you were a rebuilding team, you weren't going to hold him through this entire time. So tough loss for a contender, but you'll have him for the stretch run.
Yeah, no, I pretty much agree with that consensus. I think for him, obviously it sucks missing him the first 6 weeks. I think the key thing for him is just staying healthy during teams' playoff runs, because he was out for it last year, and it hurts. Because when he's healthy, he can be like weeks like a low end, even like a low end wide receiver 1, high end wide receiver 2.
When he's healthy, he's still a wide receiver 1.
Yeah,
for this season alone. Obviously,
for this, no, that's fair.
Dynasty rankings alone, different story. But for this season alone, if he's healthy, he's a wide receiver 1. So
I'm interested to see. I was going to say,
massive spin zone, taking 6 games off, maybe not too bad for him.
The massive spin zone. I'm interested to see how Hollywood does now.
Well, he's the next guy we got to get into. What's going on, Skull Dynasty? How you doing, dude? Let's go into Hollywood now. So Hollywood Brown, as everyone that is not living under a rock has known, he's traded to the Arizona Cardinals. I've been seeing all over Twitter, buy Hollywood, buy Hollywood, buy Hollywood. And I'm going to come out and just say it. I tweeted it out already. I'm selling Hollywood. I know this is not going to be the consensus move, but I just think when you look at the situation objectively, I think he's going to basically be in the same role and a very similar situation to what he was last year in Baltimore. He's going to be on an offense that's probably top 10 passing. Well, the Ravens were top 10 in pass attempts last year. He's probably going to get around 140 targets as the wide receiver 1 on his team. Well, he was last year as well. Okay, well, he's tied to a good quarterback. Since when was Lamar Jackson and let's be honest, some of these Ravens backups, I think, got a little bit more crap than they realistically should have. These guys put up some decent numbers passing the ball.
Huntley was good.
Yeah, like Huntley especially. I mean, he put up like 300-yard games. So I personally think that even though Hollywood Brown, I'm looking on Keep Trade Cut, he is at wide receiver 27. Okay, yes. If you're getting the Keep Trade Cut price, he's probably a hold, even more of a buy. I think you could just get more than that. I think realistically, the price that Hollywood Brown is going for is more so that wide receiver 20 price, that mid-tier wide receiver 2. And honestly, with all the hype right now and how many people are saying to buy him, I think there's a decent chance you can get a 24 first plus for him. I was able to sell my only share of Hollywood for a 24 first and a 23 second. I think that's a consensus overpay, but regardless, I think you can get similar deals done if you try and offer him out for Hollywood. So that's what I would be doing on this news and the bump.
That's fair. So for me, I'm a bit more optimistic on him. I don't think it's at the point where I'd be one of those people on Twitter saying like, oh, buy, like stock going crazy up. But I liked him last season. And I still like him. I expect when DHOP plays, obviously DHOP is the number 1 receiver, but as Jake mentioned, getting into his 30s, I think Hollywood, if you're giving up, well, first off, just NFL wise, I thought they completely overpaid for Hollywood with giving up the 23rd pick, but that's a separate issue. With him just now, assuming that they gave that much up for him, I imagine they're going to give him the big extension he's looking for eventually. And I think he has 2 years left on his deal and tie him with Kyler. And while Lamar is great, Lamar isn't in the same tier as Kyler as a passer. At least.
Are you sure about that?
Yes.
Are you sure about that?
Kyler has a better deep ball. So
okay, yeah, but I'm also looking at everything. Like, okay, yeah, maybe Kyler
as an offensive
wise is a better passer, but is it like? Does this new situation really make Hollywood that much better for fantasy? I think that he's going to put up Christian Kirk numbers. Look, Christian Kirk had a good year last year. Okay, you could say that, but Christian Kirk for a good amount of last season was playing with no DHOP as the number 1 receiver in the deep threat role, and which was, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. Like Christian Kirk put up just under 1,000 yards. I think Hollywood's better than Christian Kirk. I think Hollywood will put up 1,000 yards. But are we all of a sudden acting like Hollywood's going to go out here and put up 1,200 yards and 8 touchdowns? No, I think he's much more likely to put up a Christian Kirk season than all of a sudden become a 1,300 yard receiver.
I don't know.
Let's be honest here. This move was about keeping Kyler happy. He wanted to play with it. He wanted to play with his college teammate, and that's exactly what they did. All this talk about Kyler holding out, Kyler wants a new contract. This was a move to make Kyler happy, and that's exactly what the Cardinals had to do. I understand they overpaid. They gave up too much in the NFL draft. But in terms of next year's fantasy production, I agree with Frank. There is no chance that he's going to be significantly better than he was last year. He put up over 1,000 yards. I think he had 5 or 6 touchdowns last year. There's no way he's going to be any better than that. It's just not happening.
I do think he's significantly, well, no, I won't say significantly. He's a more talented receiver than Christian Kirk. I think he's like decently more talented.
It doesn't matter. This offense, even without D-Hop, has mouths to feed. Like, yes,
I think those mouths are going to get bigger too. Because I think the Ravens are going to, not the Ravens, the Cardinals are going to do what they did last year at running back and late in free agency, right before the season starts. They did it with James Conner last year. I think they're going to do it with a potential Jarvis Landry or one of these other free agent receivers that's available, a Will Fuller. They're another move to, and it makes sense for them.
I mean,
it's going to appease Kyler, and it's going to help the offense. I think they're going to bring in another guy like that. So that's why right now, this minute, if I have Hollywood, I am sending out what I believe is just a slight overpay for him. I think if you can get the keep trade cut price for Hollywood and you can still pick him up in like the 7th, 8th round of startups, yes, keep buying. But his price has gone up since a month ago, 100%.
If you can get what you said with a first and the second over the next 2 drafts, yes, you take that offer. If I'm only getting like, say someone offers what I think is going to be a generally, won't say like late, but like second half 24 first. I don't know if I'm like easily accepting that. And kind of to the point you said with bringing in another receiver, a name who I wanted to bring up, who I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on now. How do we feel about Wan'Dale Moore? And especially if they do bring in another receiver.
I'm fine with Wan'Dale Moore. I like Wan'Dale Moore. Now, he was the consensus sell right now on Twitter. Everyone's saying sell Wan'Dale, sell Wan'Dale.
Sure, if I could pick up Wan'Dale cheap, I'm doing it because I think he's a guy that they're going to expect to take that second-year jump. They're going to expect him to be a bigger role in the offense, now especially with DeAndre Hopkins out. And they're going to give him the ball in all kinds of ways. We saw it last year. They gave him on jet sweeps. They just ran a lot of slants. Just get him the ball because he's a very dynamic player, yards after catch guy. And I just think Hollywood's going to be that deep threat, and they're going to let him do all that crazy moving around motion offense. That's what they're going to do with him. And especially with D-Hop out, he's going to get the ball a lot more than people are thinking.
I just think, once again, I'm going to look objectively at the situation with Hollywood. For the most part, second-round receivers, if they ever break out, it's in year 2 and in year 3. I think that a lot of the signs point to, and Cliff Kingsbury has said, that Rondale Moore is going to have a bigger role in the offense. He produced when he got targets.
I do think he'll get a lot of those Edmonds touches, especially those short passes. Yeah,
exactly. I think that he could easily be in line to increase his touch share and target share by 25 to 30%. The guy checks a lot of boxes as a prospect still, and his price has gone significantly lower from last year, which is the most attractive part of this equation. I mean, I don't know for sure what people are selling Rondo for. I can't imagine the people that have him are going to be selling him low, but this is another potential scenario where Hollywood's getting a big bump. Rondo's price, I imagine, is pretty stagnant.
Question: so, would you guys right now rather have 206 or Rondo Moore?
I'd probably rather have Rondo Moore. Yeah, Rondo Moore on this news after the draft, his value has gone down.
Yeah,
that makes no sense.
That's because the consensus is saying to sell him. You need to sell. I agree. My valuation on Rondo Moore has gotten better. I like the moves that have happened and the news that has happened with the Cardinals. Because I really don't think that Hollywood is going to impact what Rondale Moore's role in this offense was. Whether it was Hollywood or it was Will Fuller, they needed someone to fill the Christian Kirk role. That is a very important role in this offense. They need someone to take the top off the defense. Like, it was going to happen whether it was trading a first for Hollywood or trading a first for another guy or whoever. Someone was going to be there, and it wasn't on the team.
Yeah. Anyways, let's move on to the next big trade that happened on draft night, which was Lounis' Eagles.
Yes, sir.
Getting A.J. Brown. Now, my first original thoughts on this as a Giants fan were, fuck, the Eagles just got A.J. Brown. But looking at it from a dynasty fit standpoint, I'm just going to say this is a fantastic move for the Eagles as a football team. But in terms of fantasy stock, this hurts every single player on the Eagles not named Jalen Hurts, including A.J. Brown himself. I think every single Eagles stock went down from a fantasy standpoint based on the fact that A.J. Brown is going to come in and he's going to take targets away from every single person there. And he's not going to get as many that he got last year on top of that. So I think everyone's going to have a decrease in targets, a decrease in yards, and probably a decrease in touchdowns. Honestly, if this is great if you're a Jalen Hurts guy, just because he has all the weapons in the world now. He has no excuses anymore. He's got Devontae Smith on one side, A.J. Brown on the other. He's got Goddard, and he's got Miles Sanders and Kenneth Gainwell in the backfield. He has no excuses here. If he's not it, you're going to know it after this year.
Yeah. Go ahead, Frank.
Dude, you want to know what's confusing me is what is going to happen with Goddard? Because that's the real X factor in this equation. Because is Goddard going to be... Because Sirianni was saying in the owners' meetings, Goddard's a 120 target guy. Well, if Goddard's a 120 target guy, then I'm a little bit nervous.
To go around. There's just not enough targets to go around on this team. If you want everyone can't be over 120 targets here.
Yeah, that's but the thing is, if he's only going to get just over 100 targets, then I'm going to redistribute those 18 targets towards the two chonkers in Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. I don't know. A.J. Brown... I think he's the same for me. He went down. Yeah. He was like consensus wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4, and now he's at wide receiver 7, wide receiver 8-ish. I think he's more of a buy than a sell after this, just because of the price decrease.
I actually tend to agree too. In terms of hurting the other Eagles pass catchers, like if you want to say, I don't know if Devontae Smith is going to have as good a year as he would have been as the number one option. I think that's fair. AJ Brown, I think his chemistry with Jalen Hurts is already actually better than Devontae Smith. Then his years with Tennessee. His rookie year, he had 52 catches for 1,051 yards, 8 touchdowns. Second year, 70 for 1,075 and 11 touchdowns. Last year, he was injured for some games, ended up with 63 for 870, but he missed, I think, like 4 games. That line of I think he can reach 1,100 yards, or between 1,000 to 1,100 in this offense. He's going to be the clear-cut number one receiver. And I actually think his receiver type fits more with the Jalen Hurts offense than
Let's
even
play
a little bit more than Devontae Smith.
Let's play a game here. AJ Brown is currently wide receiver 5 on Keep Trade Cut.
24 years old.
Would you rather AJ Brown or Stephon Diggs?
AJ Brown.
AJ Brown.
Purely because of the age.
Okay. AJ Brown or Drake London?
AJ Brown, probably because of the safe factor.
Yeah, I lean
if
AJ
I can
Brown
get the value difference between the two, then yeah, I'll take London. But if it's straight up, I'm taking AJ Brown.
I'm talking all these are straight
just
up.
1 for 1. Okay, yeah, because I agree with Frank with the value difference, London, but with just 1-on-1, I'll take AJ Brown.
I just the fact I know AJ Brown's like a lock for if he's playing all 17 games, he's gonna put up 1,100, 1,200 yards and a handful of touchdowns.
All right, AJ Brown or T Higgins?
That's a tough one. That is a really tough one because T. Higgins right now, his price is pretty similar to AJ Brown, but because T. Higgins is viewed as the number 2, his price is always going to have
You know what? We're talking
kick in the shin.
We're talking dynasty, right? Obviously.
Yes.
Give me AJ Brown because it's the point. Can I explain myself real quick? Nope. The point where everyone's concerned is the fact that it's Jalen Hurts. You realize if Jalen Hurts doesn't make significant steps as a passer this year, they're moving on from him, whether it be for the next star quarterback who wants out and looks at the Eagles offense and goes, oh, there's a good O-line, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert, kind of like how Russell Wilson did with Denver, or they move up in the draft and draft one of the top 3 rookie QBs that everyone's going hyping up, and then everyone likes AJ Brown again. So that's the thing for me. It's okay, if Jalen Hurts underwhelms this year, that's 1 year, and I still think he reaches 1,000 yards, and they get a new quarterback the next season. I think that's kind of been the consensus. Either Jalen Hurts takes that step where he would be able to support him with his improvement as a passer, or they'll move on a quarterback.
I just think, last point for me on AJ Brown, is he going to get less targets? I don't think so. Is he on an offense that is all of a sudden going to pass the ball way less than the Titans? I don't even think that's possible.
The most targets AJ Brown's had in his career was 106. I think he can
Lounis on a Dynasty podcast. Are we talking about Dynasty?
No, but okay, yeah, you know what I meant. I meant for next year or long term. But
all right, I want to get back to this one question though. Which of the Dales do you prefer, Rondale or Wan'Dale? I'm gonna go Rondale.
Yes.
Rondale.
Yes.
Listen, the Giants overreached on Wan'Dale in my opinion, but we'll get to him later.
All right, any last points on AJ Brown?
Nothing too crazy. I mean, it's do or die for Jalen Hurts this year, so we'll see how it goes.
I do. I think that if a league mate is souring on AJ Brown to the point where there's a tangible
his stock
discount from before the draft, I will take that. I'm not the hugest AJ Brown fan because before he was a consensus, probably the wide receiver 3 to a lot of the dynasty people on Twitter. I know CeeDee Lamb has kind of been the consensus wide receiver 3 on Keep Trade Cut, but a lot of the dynasty people were saying, no, give me AJ Brown. Now he's not. He's just not. So I will buy more than I was before. What are we moving into now?
We are
draft winners and losers. Here we go.
We're just going to do this a little differently. We're going to go through the top 36 rookie ADP real quick, where they got picked, what team picked them, how this affects their stock, how this affects their team stock, just kind of rapid fire and go through the top 36 ADP of rookie drafts here. So obviously at the 101, we got Breece Hall going to the Jets at pick 36. Second round, high second round pick. Obviously, this kind of kills Michael Carter dreams, but locks in Breece Hall to the 101. Anyone have anything other than that?
I think the Jets offense is actually going to be one of the most intriguing offenses in football, with like between Wilson, Elijah, Garrett, and now Breece Hall. But yeah, I agree with you. It kind of does kill Michael Carter. Breece Hall still easy 101 for me.
I mean, I think there wasn't really a landing spot that was going to make, at least for me, Breece Hall go up.
Not the 101. Oh, go up. Okay.
Well, because everyone's dreaming, Breece Hall in Buffalo. I wouldn't really want Breece Hall in Buffalo. I don't want him on the team that passes the ball and has a running back at quarterback. I think the Jets is actually one of the better landing spots because they're a team that I don't have the stats in front of me, so take this with a couple grains of salt here and there. But when I watched the Jets offense back, they threw to their running backs a good amount. Now, it was kind of divvied up. So if you can, focus that onto Breece Hall, I think he'll have a nice, 15 to 20 carries and another, 5 or 6 to 4 targets a game. That's perfect for me to be an RB1. I think stock up for Breece Hall.
Interesting.
Or maybe stagnant. It's just the one scare with Breece Hall.
For me, it says he's still 101.
Just don't go somewhere shit and don't go way later in the draft than he was supposed to.
Real quick, rank these 3 running backs: Breece Hall, Najee Harris, and Javonte.
Breece Hall's 3. Javonte 2, Najee 1. It's a consensus Carl take, but Najee and Javonte.
I asked that question because I can't fault your answer because it's tough for me to decide. All 3 are so close for me.
They're all so close.
I think Najee's a little bit above the 2, just because of
the only reason I bring that up is because how old is Breece Hall? He's a little bit younger, right?
Yeah, you get 2 years.
Yeah, which I know sounds little, but for running backs,
no, I probably wouldn't.
Anyways. Rolling right into the 102 ADP, we got Drake London. He went 8th overall to the Atlanta Falcons. I love this landing spot for him, honestly. I know people are going to say it's not great with Mariota at quarterback, but pair him with Kyle Pitts. That is a very dynamic, young offense that they got going. They took Desmond Ridder in, I think, the 3rd round. So this could be a interesting offense moving forward. I think Mariota obviously starts the season at the QB, but I think they're going to be passing a lot, down a lot in games. I think both Pitts and London are going to have good seasons coming up.
I agree. And with London, if people, I like the landing spot because obviously Pitts is there. I think him and Pitts are going to be awesome.
I think they're going to play off each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Very well.
Pitts is taking that safety every time. And for people where it's Mariota, I feel like this is a fault that happens with a lot of people in Dynasty where it's people are too short-sighted with the QB. Do you think Mariota's going to be there after this season? They're bringing someone else in next year.
There's 2 things, at least in my opinion, that a better quarterback impacts with receivers. The first is whether or not separating you from being wide receiver 12 and a low-end wide receiver 1 to being the wide receiver 1 or a top 3. Okay, yes, it will make a difference there. If we're talking the top tier of elite receivers, okay, a good quarterback can make you wide receiver 12 and a low end to a high end. Mm-hmm. The other thing to me it does is it can take the 2nd or 3rd wide receiver and elevate their floor. It can take a Cole Beasley who's in the slot and make him a 950-yard flex relevant receivers with 6 touchdowns. Whereas on a bad offense, that wouldn't happen. Drake London does not fall to me in either of those camps. A rookie Drake London is not going to be the wide receiver 1. And okay, if he is wide receiver 12, are you really upset with that?
No, you are
finishes wide receiver 12. You're fucking dancing in the streets.
Okay, yeah, maybe him being on Atlanta keeps him from being Jamar Chase. Boo-hoo. I'm perfectly happy with the landing spot, and I'm more concerned with the increase in draft capital than I am with him being tied to the Chiefs,
Yes, sir.
You're right. Long term, it's not going to be Mariota.
Yeah. So the next guy, 103 ADP, Garrett Wilson came off the board, 10th overall to the New York Jets. Jets got 2 players in the top 3 of ADP right now. I don't love this, to be honest with you.
Really?
I really don't. I think that Elijah Moore is there. I think Breece Hall is going to get a lot of touches as a rookie. And I don't know how, I'm not the biggest Zach Wilson fan, so I know Frank's going to have a lot more to say on that one, but this Jets offense is looking a little spicy right now.
I like the fit. And even though I like Elijah Moore, I don't think anyone, even though like I was a huge Elijah Moore fan coming out, I don't think anyone viewed like his long-term role in the NFL to be a wide receiver one. I think everyone knew maybe in the right offense, but at least me, I expect him to be a very good wide receiver too. I think Garrett Wilson can come in and be that receiver one and kind of help each other. Elijah Moore doesn't have to go against number 1 corners anymore. For me, like I told you earlier, this offense is going to be one of the ones I pay most attention to this season. And now I'll let Frank go off.
I don't know. I think the landing spot is pretty stagnant for me.
Yeah, it doesn't go up or down. It's just
it doesn't. Like I said, I'm still going to take him as a top 3 to 5 pick, whatever it is in that top 5. But it doesn't do it for me. Like it doesn't make me go like make me excited about Garrett Wilson.
What realistic landing spot did you prefer over the Jets?
I would have rathered Atlanta. I would have rather Atlanta. Honestly, like I just think that's a much better landing spot. Just because, like, how many quarterbacks truly can sustain 2 fantasy relevant wide receivers? Not many. You got the Russell Wilsons of the world. You got the Patrick Mahomes of the world. You got Josh Allen. All these guys. Yeah. Is Zach Wilson a guy that you truly believe can sustain two top fantasy wide receivers? And I'm not sold on it. So I don't love it, but I think it's a great pick for the New York Jets if you're going based on that.
It's awesome for the Jets.
Here's like my overall thoughts on it. I had to write it down to kind of get it figured out. I think in terms of the scheme, I like it a lot because the way that the Vikings use Justin Jefferson, how like, because my biggest pro for Garrett Wilson was he's really good on all 3 levels of the field. You know, you can, especially in this wide zone offense, Shanahan tree offense that the Jets run, they're going to use him in all phases of the game. Deep threat, underneath, in that like Z roll over the middle.
Absolutely. They're going to use him all over the field. I'm not saying that, but just truly.
But I agree with your concerns. The mouths to feed is annoying because this season, as of right now, Corey Davis is going to be there. Elijah Moore is going to be there. And we're not even a lot of 2 tight end sets.
Yeah, Chet brings up a good point. You still have Tyler Conklin, and they signed another tight end. Who else did they sign?
They got Rucker. They brought in Uzama. Right? Yeah, they got a lot. Yeah, they're going to run 2 tight end sets. They do run a lot. And the quarterback, I agree with you. It's not. I like Zach Wilson. It's not like a huge concern, but yeah, it is. That this is a scenario where like I really wish, you know, if Garrett Wilson was tied to that really sick quarterback, then I would be a little bit more confident. I'm not going to lie. I think that though the talent will prevail. So I'm going to keep Garrett Wilson where I had him before. He's probably my number 3 or number 4 pick in this rookie draft. So like, yeah, right here, stagnant.
All right. 4th, 104, we got Kenneth Walker. He came off the board to Seattle at pick 41. This was great to see for Kenneth Walker. Draft capital was a question mark for him. He ended up coming off the board pretty quickly after Breece Hall, going to this run-first offense in Seattle. Obviously, this Seattle team is going to be a little bit of a shit show this season with, you know, Drew Lock, Geno Smith. I don't even know who's playing quarterback there. But the fit seems nice. You know, Pete Carroll always kind of wants to come back to that run. And I think Kenneth Walker is going to get them to do that.
Yeah. He's like, we have Russell Wilson. Let's pass at a below average rate for 6 years while we've got a top quarterback.
I was about to say, like, if he passed below average rate with Russell Wilson, now with Drew Lock, that team's going to run the ball like 40 times, 50 times a game consistently. Between their running backs.
I'm stagnant on Kenneth Walker. I think the landing spot's overblown.
Overblown which way? Like positively?
The draft capital is what you wanted to see here.
Yeah, but then again, it's Seattle. You know, like this is like the one team where it's like, does draft capital really matter? Have you seen these other picks that they've made? You know,
no, it doesn't matter. I mean, look at the Carson Penny situation. But for me, I agree with Jake where the draft capital is encouraging. But like you mentioned, it's the Seahawks. They're literally they spin the wheel and that's who they pick.
I'm not taking Kenneth Walker in the top 4. I have Kenneth Walker in the tier 2 of players. I've seen Kenneth Walker.
You're not taking him top 4.
103. I'd much rather have London, Wilson, Treylon Burks, and clearly Breece Hall over Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, I think that's all fine, honestly. I guess my question to you guys is, how does this affect the other running backs on this Seattle team? Obviously, they still have Rashad Penny. They still have Chris Carson. Obviously, missed the whole season pretty much.
Joe Herbert, that's a great freaking comment. Pete wants to run unless winning the Super Bowl is on the line. That is hilarious. That is hilarious.
Damn. I hope there aren't Seahawks fans in the chat.
I still think Rashad Penny has a role. Unfortunately, my Rashad Penny RB1 dreams have probably ended, but I think that this could be like a 60-40 split on a very run-heavy team.
Yeah.
So yeah, I still think that Rashad Penny can get his like 10 to 13 carries a game, with Kenneth Walker getting another like the majority load of like 15 to 17 carries a game, and this team leads the league in rushing.
I wouldn't be
that would be great. That would be great for Kenneth Walker if that happened, honestly. But 105 ADP we're up to. That's Mr. Treylon Burks. Came off the board 18th overall to Tennessee. This was the pick that they got in the A.J. Brown trade. And honestly, we said it on draft night, and I'm going to say it again. Tennessee basically said, hey, Treylon, we think you're the exact same player as A.J. Brown. And this is going to be your role. You're going to come in. You're going to do exactly what he did. You're going to get the ball in a lot of slants, a lot of yards after catch, which is exactly what Treylon wants to do. This is a great fit. Obviously, there's Robert Woods on the other side, I think is a very nice number 2. Honestly, I love this. The draft capital's there. The fit's there. I wasn't the biggest Treylon Burks guy heading into the draft, but this is just too good.
Yeah, it's annoying to me how much of a winner Treylon Burks was after the draft.
Yeah, no, it's definitely stock up for him.
Now, I don't know. This 3 receiver run at 2, 3, and 4 is really hard to pick out now, because I honestly think that Treylon Burks is the biggest winner of the draft. I feel like I had him at wide receiver 3 very slightly before the draft. Now I don't know, because I really do think that he's a lock for like a good 110, 120 targets floor, and that's probably going to increase his price come the end of next year. And like you said, he's now in a situation where he doesn't need to be this technically refined route runner, where he's going off the back of a really good play action run first team. So in terms of like the concerns you had with Treylon, I think the landing spots minimizes that. So I think Treylon Burks, in terms of fit and where draft capital, everything, biggest winner of the draft for me.
Joe Herbert said, any hesitation on Burks coming off the board as the 6th wide receiver? Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Don't think about necessarily wide receiver 6. Think about it, the fact that he was the
18th overall.
18, yeah, not even 8. View it that way. He was the 18th overall pick in the draft, top 20 pick. That's all you can ask for.
Yeah, you can get burned. I think it's a much better practice to look at range of pick instead of exact order, because you can get burned going on exact order. I mean, you can just go back in previous draft classes. It's almost like exact order never really holds, or very rarely holds. That doesn't mean you should start reaching on and try to be freaking Nostradamus out here, but I just don't think that you should like value that more so than where exactly they got picked if you're gonna be a draft capital truther.
T. Higgins was like wide receiver 7 or something, but he was like in like the top 35 picks.
Yeah,
he was picked 33, first pick of the second round.
Yeah, so
because I don't know, I think that NFL teams make mistakes. So like going to exact pick, that's honestly a different segment for a different day.
Yeah, so let's keep rolling. 106 ADP as of right now is Lounis's guy, Jameson Williams. Detroit traded up to get him at the 12th overall pick. I'm just gonna let Lounis take him because I'm still not sold on this one. To be completely honest.
Are you lower because of the landing spot?
No, I mean I had Jameson Williams as the receiver 6 in this class coming into the draft, and I kind of still have him there. He hasn't really done anything to me. I understand he went really high, but we've seen this before with these pure speed guys. We've seen these guys go as high as, Justin Ross went like 7th overall.
I don't think he's a pure speed guy. Unless you consider Waddle last year pure.
Compare him to the receivers that went in the first round. Is there any single guy there that he's a better route runner than? No.
I can bring up Treylon Burks.
It's a simple answer.
He might be a better route runner.
I can bring up Treylon Burks.
Sure,
he's better at route running than Treylon Burks.
Can run a 4.5. Let me know.
Can Treylon run as fast as Jameson?
If he put on another 4 inches and 25 pounds, and he could run the same speed
and hunted wild boars.
Exactly.
Real analysis right there.
So Jameson Williams, Jameson is 6'2". He's 1 inch shorter than Treylon, and he's way faster. He's not as strong, and he's a better route runner.
See, this surprises me because I've seen the consensus is that people are down on Jameson Williams,
I don't get it.
Here I'm seeing he's the 6th player in the draft.
I'm stagnant on him, but I just had him ranked lower than a lot of people did coming into the draft, and that just hasn't changed with this at all.
I still like Jameson. This isn't a landing spot that's going to make me like, oh, like now he's way higher on my board. Like it's not like what Treylon got for him, but it doesn't decrease at all. I still love Jameson. I don't expect Jared Goff to be their long-term quarterback, but we'll see how we've seen Jared Goff support fantasy receivers.
I'm not concerned about Jared Goff. Obviously, he's not the long-term solution in Detroit. No one's claiming that. I think the real winner of this pick is TJ Hockenson. This is going to make teams respect the over-the-top ball in this offense. It's exactly what Arizona did by bringing in Hollywood. They needed someone to fill this over-the-top player, and that's what Jameson is going to do. Now, if he turns that into fantasy production, I'm skeptical, but I think this will open up the field for TJ Hockenson over the middle and Amenra on the other side, and I think that's the real winners from this pick. To be honest,
I think the difference between I think
the Lions had a great draft. Holy crap.
They did
landing Aiden Hutchinson at 2, and then JMO, who's a lot of people were saying was going to go top 10.
Yeah,
at 12, especially when the Saints trade up in front of him to take Olave. It just feels really nice that they were able to kind of they traded up, but they were able to get really good bang for their buck in terms of upside with their picks. I think it's fine, dude. He's gonna be the wide receiver 1.
Such an overrated statement, though.
Yeah, but I don't really think Jared Goff is as bad as people say he is.
I don't think Jared Goff's bad.
2 years ago, this guy was a top 5 quarterback.
That's not what I'm saying. I don't think it's a Jared Goff problem. I just don't think that this offense as a whole is going to run through the deep ball.
I think you're underestimating him with only the deep ball label.
I think this offense is low key nice, dude. I think that the Lions have a pretty darn good offense.
I would buy TJ Hockenson, and I'm sure Amon-Ra's price has come down because of this addition. And I think I would probably buy him too, depending on what the price is.
They're going to do a lot with Jameson Williams underneath and in those middle routes where they can just let him make plays.
All I'm saying is the Lions low-key have the most talented offense in the NFC North. The Vikings might be
Vikings are the one that's close.
All around, these Lions are coming. Watch out for the Lions and Dan Campbell.
I'm rooting for them.
You're right over there, Jake.
I don't know. I heard my neighbor do something. I don't know. It sounded like they dropped a pot on someone's head.
All right. Chris Olave, 107. His stock has definitely got to be up, at least for the consensus.
Yeah, I mean, having the Saints trade up from 16 to 11 to take him, you like to see that. Being a top 12 pick, you like to see that. I said it before the draft. I think this is a perfect fit for Chris Olave.
Yeah.
Playing opposite Michael Thomas is great. Playing in an offense where Jameis Winston is the quarterback, and he's just going to be slinging the ball. I'm going to love to see that. Honestly, I'm interested to see who else on this offense this helps, because I think this offense has been missing a number 2 wide receiver for a really long time. They've been trying to find it. You know, they brought in Emmanuel Sanders for a little bit. They had
for me, he's the number 1 until I finally see Michael Thomas play. I'm still like, I don't know what the fuck's going on with that situation.
JT, we know you don't like this move. You don't like Chris Olave because he's a senior.
This is why it's great that JT's not on today.
Bro, come on, you're gonna do him like that.
No, you said that when we opened the pod. No, I'm kidding. We miss you, JT. Not really.
Honestly, Chris Olave at 107, it doesn't feel great. If you're taking it, it doesn't feel great. And I think I'm the highest on Chris Olave on the pod, but I think he will end up producing, and you're gonna like to have him on your fantasy team, but to have to spend 107, it doesn't feel great.
I don't like spending 107 on him.
No, but
I mean, we'll get to the
because I think the upside of Chris Olave is very limited. I do think he's one of the safest picks. I think he's a guy that you can pretty much plug and chug as your wide receiver, really a wide receiver 2, low end wide receiver 2, high end wide receiver 3, and be pretty competitive. But the problem is, do I see that wide receiver 1 upside? I don't know, and that's why it doesn't feel great at 107 here.
I do really like him. I prefer him more in the 108 to 110 range. I mean, we'll get to the guys that are also going this first round later on, but I really like the fit. It's stock up for me. Before he was in like that 11, 12 range. Now he's moved up a couple spots. I understand someone taking him at 107. But yeah, I think it's a good fit. Wait, what JT say? For you guys fall for the same stuff. Shut up, JT.
See, I mean, I guess I'm in the same boat as you guys. I don't hate Olave. I just think his price is a little too high for me to go out and get him. Plain and simple. I think that Cortland Sutton and I mean, it used to be
were you about to say you'd rather have Sutton than Olave in Dynasty?
I can understand why you'd rather have Olave because of the age and all that stuff. I think that Cortland Sutton as a contending team, I would much rather have. I'd much rather move down from Olave or the pick that.
I don't know.
Hear me out.
I don't know.
Stop.
If you could pick up another pick with Sutton to move down.
Exactly. That's what I'm going to say. Okay. You could pick up another, like, Chris Olave is going to go a round and a half earlier in startups. He's going to be valued higher by the community. Dude, if you're trading that 107, you can get Sutton plus. Relatively easy. I always guarantee. And if not Sutton, you can go for Mooney, Mike Williams. It used to be Hollywood, but probably not anymore because of the price.
They're probably close.
That tier of receivers I just rather have the value and trade down into it. Because I agree. I'm not really sure I love spending a 107 on him. I don't hate it like as much as JT. I just don't. I'm not going to be the guy that does it. Skyy Moore, 108 to Kansas City. This is probably the consensus draft winner from the community to Kansas City.
This is the Kansas City receiver. Anyone who they took is going to go up. And now I do like Skyy Moore.
I was going to say, this is different because I saw some people say like, oh, Skyy Moore is significantly a better prospect than Mecole Hardman was coming out.
Sure, and I'm not going to argue that. I like Skyy Moore. I think he's a fantastic player. Great hands, great route running. Really does a lot for an offense. But people are just expecting him to step in and be Tyreek Hill. I know it's a different skill set, but they're going to expect him to take that targets and take all that production. And it's just not going to happen. I understand he's tied to Mahomes for the next however many years, and everyone's going to clamor over that. But to take him at 108, this guy was projected in the late second round.
I'm fine with it.
For a long time this offseason.
I'm fine with it.
Obviously, he's crept up through the draft process, and I got it. But it's a scary
I just think you got to be
pick.
rational with him. If he falls to pick 10, maybe even pick 9, I don't know. I don't know about pick 9. I really have to think about this.
I'll take him. I'll take him at 108.
I know you will, Lounis, because you're a big Skyy Moore fan.
I think I'd rather sell out.
That's true. I've been on the Skyy Moore bandwagon for a while.
I'm with Frank. If I'm sitting at 108 and someone wants to trade up for me to trade back 2 spots and take George Pickens at 10, I'm doing it. I'm absolutely doing it. If I
I'd
could
rather
pick up
just
an
trade back into Juju.
No.
That as well. Like, that's another thing. I think Juju's going to get more targets because of this as well. Skyy Moore is going to be the number 2 receiver in this offense, whether you like it or not.
Maybe at the start of the year, not by the end.
Okay, relax there, bud.
I'm sticking with Skyy Moore 108.
I'm just going to
right.
be rational about Skyy Moore. I think that the most I'm going to spend on him is a late first. Where does a late first begin? Pick 9 or 10. Because in terms of talent, like I think that George Pickens is a more talented receiver than Skyy Moore.
Yes. Anyways,
So,
rolling right.
I mean, you guys know I had Skyy Moore ahead of him.
I mean, does this affect anybody else on the Chiefs not named Juju? I guess this kind of kills any.
I don't think it affects anyone on the Chiefs, to be honest.
I think it affects Juju a little bit.
No, because here's my thing: is that if the Chiefs were really
actually no, Mahomes
terrified
can support
about
easily,
their receiving core, they were going to trade up and reach on a receiver in the first round, like some of these other teams did, because they went and chilled until 54 and that second round run on receivers. I think they view Skyy Moore as like an upside wide receiver too, like Jake was saying. And that's all they want. Like, okay, yeah, he can be a wide receiver 1. I like Skyy Moore. He checks a lot of boxes, but clearly the Chiefs weren't coming out here and saying, okay, we need to give up a first for Hollywood or be in the market for AJ Brown or trade up to take Treylon or one of these other dudes. They were very happy with taking another wide receiver 2 and rolling into the season with a whole slew of wide receiver 2s.
I mean, they traded back from 50 to 54, and in that time, Pickens went at 52, and somebody else went.
Christian Watson.
Christian Watson went at
No, wait, no, not Christian Watson. Alec Pierce, that's who it was.
And what's his name? Tyquan Thornton.
Tyquan Thornton.
MVS stock is down. Yeah, I mean, but was MVS stock like really ever one that you were like clamoring to invest in?
No.
Somehow we traded him for a second in our rebuild league. You won't be able to do that anymore. I'll guarantee you that.
Oh my God!
You shouldn't have been able to do it in the first place. What?
The fact that you got that.
We did, Lounis. It's a we.
Yeah. At 109, we got the first quarterback off the board. It's Kenny Pickett. Went 20th overall to Frank's Steelers. We all saw the reaction on the pod. We lost Lounis.
See you, Loon.
You wanted Malik Willis here at 20. You got Kenny Pickett. How are we feeling, Frank? Do we still think the 109 is where he deserves to be right now?
Honestly, I expected more of a bump by the community for Kenny Pickett. Now, I have done some rookie drafts, and I've seen him go like 106 and in that top half of the first round. So it's not like he's dead set at 109. He's probably one of the more crazy draft picks right now with where his stock is. I think 109 is a relatively fair price for him. You know, a late first for a potential starter, the only first round quarterback. I may not be the guy to pull the trigger at 109. I think I'd rather have Dotson and Pickens, but if he's sitting there at 111, I'll pick him.
I think 109 is a fair price.
I think 109 is fair. I don't love
it's
it.
It's a fair price. I'm gonna go with my rationale I believe in. I'll stand pat with it. I've said Pickens. It multiple times. If a quarterback's taken in the first round of the NFL draft, he goes in the first round of a rookie draft. I don't care what pick it is, if it's 32, if it's pick 1. Like, if he goes in the first round of an NFL draft, he goes in the first round of a rookie draft. Kenny Pickett's no different here. Obviously, I think 109 to 112 is realistically a better range for him than, you know, the top guys from like last year. We saw Lance and T-Law and all those guys go at the top. But
if you're real quick, if you're middle of the pack team and you're at like 107 and you really just need like a QB2,
no,
you considering it?
No,
I wouldn't. But I say that because I was in a rookie draft this past weekend. I sent you guys the order, but that's exactly what happened in the rookie draft I was in.
Dude, trade 107 and another first or something and go get yourself a legit quarterback. Or if you really need a stopgap, go trade for a Jameis.
Yeah. No, it's fine.
If you need a quarterback, you shouldn't be like, okay, well, I'm going to reach in the rookie draft. If you really like Kenny Pickett, then listen, go ahead. I just think that when push comes to shove, Kenny Pickett, to me, has got like a 25% chance of success.
Damn.
And I have to be like in the late first for that to be worth it. Because if he does succeed, I think he can smash. But yeah, Joe Herbert.
Do you think he can be similar?
20th pick is not compelling draft capital. I don't think his profile is very compelling. He doesn't check a ton of boxes for me.
It's not very yeah, you wouldn't be saying this about Jordan Love. Jordan Love was different. Jordan Love is a weird exception to the rule. But do you think he can put up kind of similar in terms of like Mac Jones went into a near perfect offense?
Dude, Chad is on fire today.
Yeah.
What's up, guys? I feel like Malik Willis making my appearance this late.
Didn't have to do him like that. Did not have to do him like that.
What were you saying, Lounis? Sorry, that comment
I was
got me out of it.
I was only gonna say that's hilarious. I was only gonna say, what is it? Do you think, in terms of like kind of similar last year, Mac Jones went into a really good organization in New England, and now similar with Kenny Pickett in Pittsburgh. Do you think he could put together similar to a Mac Jones type rookie season? Because if so, then that's
no.
Yeah, but I just thought Mac Jones was better. I mean, I had Mac Jones last year as like 106 in a loaded rookie class. I mean, that was admittedly too high, but I have Kenny Pickett as like 110 in a bad rookie class, you know? Yeah. I think that's the problem, is that Mac Jones to me was, in terms of the non-mobile quarterback prospects, was at the top of the tier. Kenny Pickett is like a semi-mobile. He's not going to not put up rushing stats, but he's not like a runner. I think you're investing in a Blaine Gabbert.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that Kenny Pickett's going to be a bust.
You are trashing your quarterback. Yeah,
no, dude. I just think if you're gonna group him into a group of quarterbacks, it's like, well, he's in the Blaine Gabbert group. Wherever Blaine Gabbert was in rookie drafts, that's where fucking Kenny Pickett is.
That's the group he's in, though. The group he's in are the bus. That's the Blaine Gabbert group. What do you want me to say?
He's got a ring. He's got that Tampa Bay ring.
Yeah, sure. Pickett can be a Super Bowl winning backup quarterback, according to Frank.
I'm trying to think of who the other quarterbacks, because there's definitely a successful one in that tier.
Like what? Like a Teddy Bridgewater type?
Yeah,
like
maybe like a Teddy Bridgewater.
But like he gets drafted. He's like okay, and he's like a bridge quarterback.
There was one on the tip of my tongue. I can't remember the name. The name, give me the name. Oh, I can't remember.
It's okay. But no, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. 110. We got Christian Watson to the Packers at 34. I agree, Frank. Absolute bait. Of all the quarterbacks in the league, I think Aaron Rodgers is the one guy that really depends on like building a relationship with the guy before he throws you the ball. We've seen that before, and like that's part of the reason why he wanted to bring back Randall Cobb last year. He knew that he could rely on Randall Cobb no matter what the situation was. I just don't think Christian Watson is a guy that's really going to build Rodgers' trust, at least for the first half of the season, probably longer. It's just everyone's going to say, oh, he's in Green Bay. Oh, he's going to get all the targets because Devontae Adams is gone. I don't think this is the case. I don't think he's really going to ever be that receiver one that you think he's going to be.
I hate the response I'm going to say. And by the way, where I would take him generally is at the very, very end of a first round. Pick 10, I'm like, eh. But like pick 12, I'd feel solid about it. Pick 11, I'd be like, eh. But pick 12, I'd feel solid about it. So I'll list him as a late first rounder within like last 2 picks. Someone has to, like, I hate that response. I hate that response. But it's going to be Tanyan or Lazard? Aaron Jones?
I mean, like
Aaron Jones, CMC.
Yeah,
season?
Aaron Jones.
1,000.
Well, you want to know
Dillon.
what my take is for this thing?
Yeah.
I think the biggest winner from Green Bay is AJ Dillon.
Absolutely. I agree.
But do you think they're going to be a run-first offense with Aaron Rodgers?
Well, so I'm looking
Aaron
at it
Jones
now.
is gonna
They
play the
were
slot.
18th. They were 18th in rush attempts per game. I think they're top 16 next year. I think that they are a top half of the league in rushing attempts football team.
I mean, sure, but Aaron Rodgers is going to pass for 30-plus touchdowns. It's Aaron Rodgers. Unless you think Tanyan or Lazard is going to have some breakout.
Yeah, but I just think that they're going to
season.
be a very balanced offense. They're not going to be, and I think part of it is that the playoffs showed you last year, and the playoffs the past couple of years, this team that it's like, oh, Aaron Rodgers and the passing attack carry us, is not going to win them the big dance.
I mean, I don't care about
They've lost
Rodgers.
3 years in a row doing it.
I don't care about Rodgers' postseason chokes. He just chokes in the postseason. All I care about is the regular season fantasy numbers. So
yeah, but I think that LaFleur and this Packers team, they want to be a balanced attack that can beat you both ways, and whatever ways, kind of like the Rams are to a certain extent. Like the Rams are a team where it's like if the running game is working, we are literally going to run the ball the same play every play until you can stop it.
I know. I
think the Green Bay becomes that.
One day I want to do an exercise with you guys where we take what you think, how many touchdowns Aaron Rodgers is going to throw for this year, and just tell me what Tanyan's getting 15 of them, Aaron Jones like 8. Like I hate that response, but they just didn't bring in anyone else.
That's the.
What do you mean?
But
They
that's
got
the
Sammy
number
Watkins.
one mistake.
Sammy Watkins.
Week 1, he's going to have 3
Again,
of those
no,
touchdowns.
I'm not.
so
I'm
we
not.
can
I'm
cross
not.
3 off right
110. 110. I don't feel good about. I'm more so saying at like 111, 112. I would feel okay with taking it there.
This man averaged like four catches a game in college.
I don't care.
Amari
How is he gonna
Rodgers
do
going to
that?
have another 8.
Yeah, I know. Listen, bro.
I don't see this one.
Julian
I'm really-
Edelman had 0 catches in college. Then he paired up with the.
Listen, I
I'm
mean,
kidding.
I
That was a
kind of
joke.
hate
That was a joke.
Christian
That was a
Watson.
joke.
I'm not taking Christian Watson in the first round. I'm sorry. I'm just
no
not doing
shot.
it.
If Christian Watson falls to the 203, 204 range, sure, I'm fine with it. Not a problem. But like,
Don't like it
He's
at
not
10. Well, okay. I don't want to like spoil the next couple of names, but once we get like
'Cause
through the next 5-6 names, I want to know which of those guys you're taking ahead.
Well,
of me,
here's
just so I can
one
get
thing.
an idea.
So what happens if Jarvis Landry or Will Fuller or one of these remaining receivers signs in Green Bay?
That's
Then what happens to that argument of, oh, well, there's no one else? Well, all of a sudden there's someone else.
Jarvis, Will Fuller. I'd be shocked if he played 8 games. Jarvis Landry. Nah.
I mean, honestly, though, what if one of these guys goes there? Like,
one of them probably will. That's what I would assume. Where else are these guys going to go? They're going to be on a team come opening day.
and there might be a surprise receiver cut post June 1st that all of a sudden they're like, oh, well, shit, I can't get the money I want. Let me waltz on over to the team that just won that has been the NFC Championship the past bunch of years that clearly needs a receiver.
Listen, 111, 112.
Dude, if there's a freaking quarterback that's going to make it work with some schmuck, I mean, it's going to be Rodgers. The guy made it work with James Jones.
Exactly.
Yeah, but that could be anyone. That could be freaking anyone.
It could be the guy. It could be the guy that Rodgers. It could be the guy that Rodgers helped handpick at the top of the second round.
I think JT would have 5 touchdowns on the Packers. If he had good chemistry with Rodgers, JT would be out there catching back shoulders all day in the end zone. All right, get out of here. I just think that Christian Watson's value is on these stilts of bullshit.
I agree. I think he was always on the stilts of bullshit, and this is just another one.
I'm going to eat this. Christian Watson's going to be like the wide receiver 1 this year. I'm going to eat it so hard.
Listen, I guess I'm the only guy who's thinks he's worth a first round pick, even if though it's again 11, 12, because I know JT isn't. Okay,
no.
Dobbs will outproduce Watson. I'm with Joe Herbert. Give me Romeo Dobbs over Christian Watson.
Okay, you're insane.
Honestly, at the price, probably.
Now I
probably
would say now that Jake is on me.
If I could take
George
Dobbs
Pickens.
in the 7th round, oh, George Pickens, my sweet prince.
Dude, I love that video of George Pickens getting drafted. That
just
stance,
staring at the TV.
Dude, the stance that he had. Dude, George Pickens is a beast. I'm so happy he is in Pittsburgh.
All the responses to that video are like, this dude's either gonna be an all-pro wide receiver or suspended by week 4.
Listen, I don't necessarily love Pittsburgh because of the whole like, what the hell is this offense gonna be? But I'm willing to bet on George Pickens with a 111, a 112. I imagine he may even slip into the second round in some rookie drafts.
Oh, see, honestly,
I got him at 202.
I would take him over the guys that we just talked about. I would take him over Christian Watson, over Kenny Pickett, and potentially over Skyy Moore.
Real quick,
put him all the way
over
up to
Skyy Moore. Oh no, you kind of.
He was picked before Skyy Moore.
I know.
I'm consistent with my takes. You know how high I was on Skyy Moore, so it's not like I'm like flip flopping.
Sure, but like my point is like, I think George Pickens is the more talented receiver. George Pickens was drafted ahead of Skyy Moore, regardless of if it was 2 picks. He was taken first, and he goes to a place in Pittsburgh that just breeds wide receivers. Apparently.
I know they do.
Whoever they take at wide receiver is going to be the next best wide receiver.
Yeah.
So honestly, how do you not like George Pickens here?
I still like him. I was just saying some of the guys above. Frank, quick question for you. Do you think this has anything to do with not wanting to pay Deontay Johnson a huge contract eventually?
No, we lost like 3 receivers in free agency. We needed receivers desperately. We had like last year, the Steelers had, because Juju got hurt, a couple more back end receivers got hurt. Like it was thin last year, and then we lose half of the crew into free agency. We needed we needed bodies, and dude, I'm so excited for Pickens, dude. Pickens is gonna go into practice and be like, Claypool, you're a little bitch. Let me show you who the real number 2 receiver on this team is. He's gonna be awesome.
You think he's gonna overtake Claypool?
I think he's a better receiver than Claypool.
Oh wow. Okay.
I don't necessarily disagree.
Okay.
Jahan Dotson. This is gonna be the same takes. He went to a weird ass landing spot. The draft capital was great. Me and Jake are gonna be like, yeah, Dotson, and Lounis is gonna be like, yeah, I don't know. I'd rather have Christian Watson.
You know me too well.
So I think Jahan Dotson, I love the draft capital. The landing spot, super mid. I don't know what the fuck is going to happen. I love Dotson at 112.
It's so weird for me because him and Curtis Samuel can kind of do really similar things.
No. They're not the same guy.
I'm saying can do similar things. I didn't say the same guy.
They're going to run Curtis Samuel out of the backfield.
I think this is the argument. Like, we should use the argument that you just used before. Does Pittsburgh want to pay Deontay and then slide it down 1 pick into the tinfoil hat Frank coming in? Does this mean that they don't want to pay
McLaurin
freaking Scary Terry?
I think that's a very fair argument. That's how I take it. Because I was shocked they pick a receiver that early, but it makes a lot of sense.
Because, like, I agree. It's not like, okay, they could use a receiver, but it's not like they need to spend a first-round pick on one.
Not the 16th pick. And I think we all agreed it was a little bit of a reach at 16. Like, I think we all had Dotson more of a late first-round guy in the NFL draft. It's a little bit of a reach. I was shocked to see him go ahead of Treylon Burks. But, yeah, no, I think this is... I don't think they're going to extend Terry anymore.
They can't. They can't possibly.
I still think they will. It's just...
I don't think they will. I think you're looking at all these, like he's looking at the AJ Brown contract, 25 mil per, saying that's the starting point. Like you can imagine what Debo's getting. There's a reason the 49ers even like considered or fielded offers for Debo. Debo was their entire offense. It's hard to pay a receiver this much, like 60, 70 million guaranteed. I don't know what's going to be McLaurin's, but
you know, there's that like sailor saying where it's like, it's either orange at night or in the morning. I forget. I think it's at night. It's like, then you know that a storm is coming the next day. I feel like that's what I'm seeing in Washington right now. It's like, dude, I'm seeing this, you know, now it's the sunset. We're chilling back. We're having a good time. We're on the boat, drinking some beers, fishing, but the storms are brewing and I don't know what's going to happen.
The storm's been there ever since Snyder's owned the team.
Oh boy.
It's
been a storm.
We got
for
Carson
a while.
Wentz over here. We got a bunch of receivers. We don't know what's happening. We got weird ass tight ends, half of which are injured. The other half are like
Logan
we
Thomas.
got multiple running backs, and we just drafted another running back. It's like, what the fuck happened?
I don't know.
What is going on in Washington?
The defense still sucks. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of organization itself is a shit show, but regardless, yeah, I do think it is kind of telling about Terry McLaurin, and I think they're going to look to trade him eventually.
crazy. Skull Dynasty, yeah, orange in morning is bad sign. Heard that. Thank you.
Why? I was just.
I have never heard that before.
I'm lacking on my research.
Yeah, it's because you guys aren't sailors.
Sailor sayings. I should have studied more pre-pod. That's my fault.
All right.
Malik so that wrapped up the first round of Dynasty ADP. That was 1 to 12. So we're all in the second round. 201 is Malik Willis.
The fact that he's 201 is ridiculous. Not ever draft from 201. It's my advice.
Is it though? Listen,
yes.
I listen.
You would take him at guys.
Look at the guys below him.
Oh, I'm looking at him.
I hate the second round, man.
I'm looking at him.
Does anybody blow you away?
I like a few. I mean, not blow me. I mean, what, you think a third round quarterback's blowing me away? I was the biggest Malik Willis guy. No, he went. I'm out. I'm out on him, man.
Listen,
I'm
think
not out. I'm just not in on 201 anymore. I don't know, dude. I still like Malik Willis. I still like him. It's just
201.
Guys, obviously 201 I think is a little too steep. I think once you get down to 203, 204, if you take Malik Willis, it is just a throw him on the taxi, and you say if Malik Willis hits, he has legitimate QB1 overall potential. Obviously, the third round draft capital is you hate to see it. It's probably not going to work out. But at the end of the day, you're throwing a second round pick at it, and you're seeing what sticks. If it doesn't stick, you say, oh, well, and cut him off your taxi in 2 seasons. It is what it is. You look at the guys that we're going to talk about in a few minutes that are going in the second round now. Yes, there's a few of them. That's why I said 201 slightly too high. But you go down a few more picks here. Who else are you taking?
A few of
the
these
potential
guys.
on Malik Willis is too good. The potential on Malik Willis is absolutely too good following the next few guys that, like, the select few that we think should go above him. And I'm literally, you can maybe 2 or 3 guys.
I can name like 5 or 6 guys I'd rather
honestly, dude,
a third round quarterback.
I'm looking at this ADP. I think if we reverse the second round, I would like it more than the way it is right now. Malik Willis, like he's meh now. I don't.
If he went in the second round, similar to like let's just say Jalen Hurts draft capital, where it's like a later second round pick, I'm with you. He fell to the third.
No, we'll see. There is no.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you're talking about NFL draft. I agree with you if you're talking about the rookie draft. Jalen Hurts, I thought Jalen Hurts at the end of the second, middle to end of the second, when he was getting drafted there, was a bad pick. But I was proven wrong, and I think that's what it would have been for me with Malik Willis. If I'm getting him in the mid-second, then I'm fine. But I think I'd rather just have Trey McBride, David Bell, even maybe John Metchie over him. Maybe even Dameon Pierce too, just because I'd rather have a guy that I think is going to hit. Malik Willis is such a shit show right now.
So what's the highest you're taking Malik? I think the highest for me, 206, 207.
I think I'd do like 204, 205.
I'm with Frank.
I'll go 204. Because I even, again, man, I hate to do that because I was really a Malik Willis guy, but the draft capital, man, I had to completely flip. I'd rather have we'll talk about him in a second, James Cook, but.
Oh yeah, and let's go into James Cook. I think James Cook is being wildly overdrafted. He's at 14 right now, and I'm admittedly not a huge James Cook guy, but I'm sorry, I don't think 14 is accurate. I see him consistently going in the first round of rookie drafts. I think that we're trying to predict him being a J.D. McKissick passing back, like he could be. I'm just staying away. Maybe James Cook is good. Maybe he is the next James White. Cool. But I don't want to draft him in the first round. I don't want to draft him with an early second. I would trade out of this pick.
I am not taking him in the first round. I will take him with an early second. I think me and Jake view him differently, because I know when we were talking about winners and losers, you don't think this affects Singletary at all, and me and Jake were both saying this is not good for Devin Singletary.
I think that Devin Singletary after the draft, this was the perfect thing that could happen with him.
I don't know,
because now, dude, the Bills it's going to be the same crap as last year, where it's like at the beginning of the season they're going to be like, oh well, we don't like Devin Singletary, we think he's only kind of mid and average.
James
so we're
Cook is more talented than
we're gonna run freaking Zach Mosses and James Cook, and then all of a sudden it's gonna be like, well, God forbid James Cook doesn't have the chemistry in the passing game with Josh Allen, or God forbid you need to use him in between the tackles. It's gonna all come crawling back to the fact that Devin Singletary is the best pure runner on this team by far.
Listen, I like James Cook. I was one of the higher ones on James Cook out of us. I think he's a great, scat back, and I've seen that. But I also thought he had potential to be a true running back. Maybe not a 3-down back, and you don't want him to run between the tackles every play. But if you get him outside on a little pitch play or whatever the hell you want to run, there's a lot of potential for him. He did run a 4.4. He is a quick running back. He runs faster than Singletary or Moss or anybody on that team. I mean, obviously, this offense is going to score a lot of points, and I do think that James Cook is going to be part of that. Now, obviously, I don't think it's the best landing spot for him, just because they are going to continue to use Devin Singletary, whether people like to admit it or not. People are just trying to write off Devin Singletary. I agree, Frank. He's not going anywhere. He's not the flashy running back, but he gets the job done, and the Bills realized that at the end of last season and saw what Devin Singletary can actually do. I think it's going to be a 2, maybe 3-way split in this backfield. It's going to be a nightmare, but honestly, the upside is there for James Cook. If you can get a running back 2 at pick 202, it's not a bad pick.
Yeah, I could see the upside. I'm just not going to take him. That's why I think that Devin Singletary is a big winner. He's not going to go anywhere. The guy just had 1,500 all-purpose yards. I think, okay, maybe James Cook eats into 400 of that. Cool. Devin Singletary still has 1,100 all-purpose yards. He still has a role. It's not sexy, but he's still there.
Absolutely.
And I just think that he's a better running back than James Cook.
We'll see. I'm lower on Singletary.
It's going to be interesting. Part of it, too, though, is I just don't like... I am done trying to predict the pass-catching back unless there's legit draft capital, like top 50 draft capital. There was kind of legit draft capital in James Cook. I'm just not fucking betting on him. I'm just not. Get me out of there.
That's fair. We'll see.
Rolling
maybe he's Kamara.
15, which is 203. It's Desmond Ridder.
Nope.
He was a second quarterback off the board, 3rd round. Goes to Atlanta. Obviously, looks like he's going to back up Mariota. A dart throw by them. Anybody interested?
Davis Mills 2.0.
Nope.
He'll start a couple games this year. He's not going to be their franchise guy.
He's a Davis Mills that you got to pick a round earlier.
I didn't say I'm taking him. No, I think I'm not touching him around this time. I think this is way overrated. I'm saying why I think he should be lower, because I think he's Davis Mills.
Yeah, I would draft him with like a very early 3rd, a very late 2nd, mid-2nd. No,
not mid-2nd. No, maybe super late 2nd, early 3rd.
Fair enough.
Okay, cool. The upside's there if you hit. I'd rather try, especially with this draft. I'm drafting for floor probably.
If you're drafting for floor, Ridder is not the guy. So rolling right into 16, it is Isaiah Spiller. What a fall from grace we saw from him. He lands with the Chargers, which I think is a pretty interesting landing spot.
I actually think that's a really good landing spot for him.
I agree. I think it is a very good landing spot for Isaiah Spiller. He gets to
what's that saying? What is that saying? Like, I think it's a great landing spot for him. Like, is it?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
How?
He gets to be the second running back behind Eckler. Maybe take some of those first, second down touches.
We're drafting a glorified Jamal Williams and probably a running back that's worse than Jamal Williams.
I would say
in the
Jamal
middle
Williams
of the 2nd round.
Wasn't bad.
Listen, I agree. We all saw this fall from Spiller coming.
Nobody. Frank out. Dude, this second round is a wasteland. I'm out here
that's what I'm saying. Like all the guys we just listed in the second round, Malik Willis, James Cook, Desmond Ridder, all of us have said out. So where are we going with this second round? I know you said you hate it, but like at the end of the day, people are gonna there's going to be hits out of the second round. Yeah. And I don't know who it's gonna be. Now, Isaiah Spiller is a guy that I think is really interesting. Obviously he fell all the way to the fourth round, which you hate to see, but we've seen fourth round running backs do it before. We've seen seventh round running backs do it before. Running back's a weird position. Now he gets to go to LA. Obviously everyone knows that Austin Eckler is the bell cow there. There's no questions asked, but he's a guy that does have an injury history. And
I don't know if they want him to be a full bell cow. Like, I think they want to give.
I don't think they do. I think they want to make sure he's there because this Chargers team has high expectations.
Yeah.
They expect to be in the playoffs and make a deep run in the playoffs next year. Do they want to make sure Austin Eckler's there? I think they do. Mm-hmm. And I think Spiller's a guy that they think that they can give the ball to and get consistent carries and consistent yards in this offense where they have to worry about Justin Herbert beating him over the top. This offensive line has gotten a lot better with the addition of Slater last year. This is an interesting spot.
It's a high-scoring offense. There's going to be more scoring opportunities.
I agree with you guys. Spiller's going to get his consistent 6 or 7 carries and 1 target. And be completely fucking irrelevant. He's a little Justin Jackson. Yeah, let me spend my mid-second on a guy who's going to get...
He's more talented than Justin Jackson, though.
Yeah, let me spend my mid-second on a guy who's going to get maybe 100 carries. No, dude. Okay, you're saying what do we do in the second round of our rookie drafts? You want to know what we don't do? We don't draft quarterbacks and running backs in the early second in the worst draft of running backs and quarterbacks for depth that we can remember. Like that's what we don't do. JT's. I hate to agree with JT, but you want to know what we do? We draft the receivers. We draft.
Yeah.
David Bell. You're shitting. We take Trey McBride.
And then on
dark
Dameon
rows
Pierce.
we can take on Dameon Pierce at the end of the second, and Brian Robinson at the end of the second, and Alec Pierce and Tolbert at the end of the second.
You wouldn't take Dameon Pierce until the very end of the second.
Well, that's where his ADP
I mean, we'll get into
his middle to end of the second.
I'm with Jake. Right. I like Spiller.
I mean, I kind of
we trade him. We take these picks and we trade him to some schmuck who's buying into the rookie hype of this garbage.
I agree with Frank. I mean, I don't.
There's going to be
the spots landing. The landing.
Yeah, there's going to be a hit. But guess what? There's going to be hits every year. And this year, it's fucking pinball, dude. It could be over here. It could be over here. We're taking third round picks. We are taking third round picks around earlier consistently.
It's pinball to the blind. The blinded. The real can see.
All right. Well, speaking of ADP 17205 is 1, 2, maybe I can't do math. But anyways, it's Rachaad White. He went to Tampa in the third round. This is another guy that I just I'm out. I don't want to touch this. I don't like this one.
I'm not touching it. Fuck no. You
Once again, this is another. This is the same thing for every pick. I can see the upside, but I'm out.
Spiller and Pierce are like way more than Rachaad White.
This dude, he's second lowest on my force missed tackle tracking ever.
I'm not.
That's crazy.
I don't like this one at all.
I'll pass.
Pinball wizard. Joe Herbert's a pinball wizard. Joe Herbert's going to be out here picking out the one dude who has success. Yeah, I'm out. Not with with a mid-second. You remember 2 years ago when we were drafting T. Higginses in the mid-second and the Brandon Ayuk's? You know, Brandon Ayuk
that was a ridiculous draft.
Falling to 203.
That was an insane draft.
Yeah, guess what? 2020.
That was a ridiculous draft. You can't compare any draft to that draft.
To a 2023.
No one's going to do it.
That's an insane draft.
Okay, guess what they can do? 2024 draft is being incredibly slept on. They're being treated as 2022 picks. If people want these 2022 garbage seconds for 2024 pick pluses, you know, if you can get a 2024 second plus for your Rachaad White pick or your Isaiah Spiller pick, or even more for your James Cook pick, I am doing it in a heartbeat.
I agree. I just don't think I think you'll be hard pressed to find someone to do that. Everyone knows that this isn't a great class, and everyone knows that the 2024 class is supposed to be better.
No, it's not easy to do that quick.
No, I'm seeing a lot of stuff on Twitter where people are victory lapping their Rachaad White going in the thirds and their James Cook going in the seconds and looking at their rookie comps and being like, he's the new Jamal Charles. He's the new David Johnson.
They did not say that.
I was saying that. Man,
I'm gonna have to go through some tweets. I'll send them in the group when I see them. I'll send them in the group.
Anyways, consensus 206 right now. JT's guy David Bell. He went to Cleveland.
Love it.
And in the third round, I hate to say it, JT, but I think we all like it. He obviously
I picked him up at 210 in a draft, and I was trying to move up.
So honestly,
he's like, I like this pick.
He plays with Deshaun Watson. He gets to play opposite Amari Cooper. They have the best running game in the league. Like, this is a can't miss. I love it in the second round, and I hate that JT's right.
At 206, I'm okay with it. I'm fine with like a mid-second pick for David Bell. His athleticism still is a little bit in for me, but I think the landing spot.
You go watch David Bell tape.
I've watched it. What do you think? I'm just guessing his name. I'm judging out David Bell. He could be okay. Like, no, I've watched a ton of this dude. No, I mean, I like him as a second round pick.
The move is if you have multiple of these seconds, you just package them all together and overpay for a late first or a 201, where you can land your Dotson or Pickens that fell to 201. That's what you do.
Or you try to trade him for a 2024 first and say, yeah, well.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the ultimate end goal, but.
Yeah, David Bell, we all like. John Metchie.
I love this landing spot, honestly.
I like John Metchie here as well. I don't love it. I'd rather get him where he was going before and where his price was in startups was more of like an early third, very late second. But I will take him in the late second or like the middle late second in this class.
I agree. I think Metchie, my comparison for Metchie was Jarvis Landry, where he's not going to blow anybody away, but he's just going to be this guy that's around and producing, whether you want to say he's flashy or not.
What do you think of the landing spot in Houston, Jake? Do you like that?
I think this Houston receiving core between Nico Collins, Brandon Cooks, and him is a pretty solid receiving core. I think it's going to be slept on and underrated. This team is going to be losing a lot of football games and throwing the ball a whole lot. So I kind of like this fit. I mean, obviously there's better. He's tied to Davis Mills or whoever the next quarterback is there. But overall, they paid up for him. They got him at 44, which I don't think anybody expected. So overall, I think they're expecting a lot from him, which is always a good when he's going to get the opportunity.
Yeah, I agree. Metchie is bad news for Nico. And the other thing I think that's good for Metchie, and this would be bad news for Nico Collins or the other Houston Texans receivers, is that Metchie and Davis Mills are both very smart football players. And I think come training camp and the beginning of the season, I think that these are two players that could definitely establish a connection and get along very well together. And Metchie could kind of be that security blanket receiver that, what was the receiver? He went to Seattle in as a UDFA.
Doug Baldwin?
No, for Stanford. I'm not going to be able to remember the name, but there was a receiver on Stanford that was kind of that played with Davis Mills. That was a UDFA and went to Seattle that had like a very good connection at Stanford. And I think that Metchie could kind of be that receiver with Houston here, but more productive.
Yeah. 20th, which is 208. We're at now, and that's Matt Corral. He went 94th to Carolina. He was my QB1 on the board. I honestly,
Connor Weddington is his name.
The problem is we'll get the two guys listed right after him. I will easily take over him.
Sure. Honestly. I mean, I think that's an argument you can make, and we'll get to those guys later. But honestly, Matt Corral, I don't think it's a horrible fit. I think they're going to give Sam Sam Darnold the shot here.
Corral will start a couple games this year.
Absolutely, and
I like Corral here. The thing is that you're taking. This is where you want to take the other quarterbacks because it's like all of them got third round draft capital. The difference between 74 and 94, it's like who cares? And I think that Corral has the best landing spot. You got a team that traded up for him that, you know, clearly has said that they want a new quarterback. You know, at least Atlanta. Okay, you could say, yeah, they need a new quarterback, but they went out and got Mariota. Coaches played with Mariota before. Yeah, Carolina got Sam Darnold, but they have a season with him and wanted a different quarterback. That different quarterback is Matt Corral. You get him at the late second. He has just as much talent and upside as any of these other dog shit quarterbacks you're taking, and he's at the most favorable price. This is the best quarterback pick. If you're going to take one of these trash quarterbacks, I'd want it to be Matt Corral at the late second.
I 100% agree. 21, which is I'm losing track of where we are. Anyways, 21 overall is Trey McBride. He went 55th overall to the Cardinals. He's going to be backing up Zach Ertz. I think this is a good landing spot for him. Gets to learn from a Hall of Fame level tight end. But it's going to be a few years before I think you really see production from him. He's a good guy. I want to put on my taxi and just say, in a few years, you'll be the guy.
Same. I would take him a couple slots higher than this, even. Like, I'd feel comfortable taking him, like, in the mid-second.
Agreed.
And I know it won't be right away, but rookie tight ends, like, you usually don't expect much. I agree with you. He's someone you just throw on your taxi, but I like McBride. If you can get him here, that's a steal. I would take him a couple spots higher, especially being tied to Kyler. And with Zach Ertz is getting really old. He's what, like 33 now? So they're drafting him to be the tight end of the future.
This is literally Dallas Goedert all over again.
Yeah, no, literally.
I agree.
And now Ertz is older.
Yeah, Ertz is even older.
True. 22 overall to 10. It is Dameon Pierce went 107th to Houston. Lounis, what you got? I know this is your Florida guy. What you got?
I love the fit. Sorry, just putting in the timestamp. He's not going to go this late in your guys' rookie drafts. You guys, as in like you audience, he's not falling to 210. I was surprised to see him this low and keep trade cut. I expect him to not fall past like 207. I'd be surprised if he falls past that in most drafts. Because I mean, who is he competing with for carries? Rex Burkhead, all that. Here's the fear with Dameon Pierce, where
that's exactly what happened with Michael
Carter. That's the thing I was going to bring up. I think Dameon Pierce is someone who he'll get every chance to be kind of the main guy, who I'm going to be shopping at the end of the regular season. Before
not even at the end. I would be shopping if he sees relevancy.
Yeah,
like
and he's going to.
Price piece. Like all these running backs, if you take them, maybe not James Cook, because he is someone that like it depends on the price actually, but yeah. Any of these running backs, if they see relevance, I'm selling mid-season if I can get basically any increase in price that they had before.
Yeah. I mean, even just like selling, if you took Dameon Pierce at 207 and you're trading him for a 2023 like 206, that's an upgrade. But obviously you could go for Michael Carter. People were able to get late first for him at the end of the regular season. So he's someone I like. Dameon Pierce. I don't view him being like a long-term running back. I mean, he might be. Like, we'll see. I'm a fan of him. He's a super physical runner. But if I can get a late first for him, especially in that 23 draft, or a pick that you know is going to be like 201, 202, I'm doing that trade.
He'd have to go for 24 or 25, but it's worth it.
Probably. But yeah,
I'd rather have Dameon Pierce than Spiller, Rachaad White, James Cook.
I agree with the first two names. Him and Cook are close. I lean Pierce.
Yeah, him and Cook, I think, are close. I can understand taking Cook over him, but the fact that to me it's even a conversation is why I don't like.
He's not going to go that. He's not going to go end of second. If you want him, you need him mid-second.
This is one that surprised the crap out of me. This
is absolutely absurd. 211, we got Sam Howell. He didn't go to the 5th round. He went to Washington. They traded 2 third-round picks for Carson Wentz. This just feels like
I don't think Keep Drake is updated enough. I don't think he's going to go in the late second.
If he goes in the late second, this is a crime. This is just absolutely absurd.
Literally the next,
you can't take a 5th round quarterback in the second round. It's just not happening.
The next 6-7 names I'm taking over him easily.
All right, so let's just skip Sam Howell. That's clearly the landing spot's decent in Washington, but you're dreaming.
I mean, if you
have, Wentz is just a better prospect,
way better. Like as much as we shit on Wentz.
Not 212. We got Zamir White going to Vegas. This I kind of like.
I kind of like it too. He should go way higher than 2. Well, not like way higher, but he should go higher.
Should he? Should he?
Yes.
Yeah, he's athletic.
He should go higher than
he's
212.
Interesting. They declined the 5th-year option on Josh Jacobs.
Yep.
I'm just not gonna take him. I don't think he's really all that dynamic. The fact that James Cook went way ahead of him in the draft to me is a little bit telling. I mean, he could see some relevancy. I just think he's a Malcolm Brown. He's in that range of running backs where it's like, okay, you can take the 20%, 18% dice roll that he does become good and he could hit. I don't hate the pick, but I'm not taking him at 212. I'd rather Brian Robinson, Alec Pierce, Jalen Tolbert, and
I agree with that.
And some of the receivers and things after.
Speaking of Brian Robinson, he is currently at the 301. He went to Washington, 98th overall. Similar to Zamir White here. I mean, it's a nice, interesting landing spot. I would have liked to see a little bit of higher draft capital, but overall, I think it's pretty good. And to get him in the 3rd round, I like that.
For me, my main takeaway from the draft selection wasn't even so much about Brian Robinson. It was more so about Antonio Gibson. Like, what are we thinking on Antonio Gibson?
I've been out on Antonio Gibson for a while now. I just think they've been looking for another back, whether that's McKissick. They paid up to keep McKissick. They drafted a running back. They clearly don't believe either one that he's going to be healthy. Antonio Gibson's going to be healthy.
I think that's the thing.
He's the guy. Obviously, he had a nice second half of the year last year, but do they think he's the guy in the running back of the future? I don't know.
I think it's the health thing. I don't think they think he can stay healthy enough to be be kind of like that, like bell cow almost type back, like we saw last year with I think it was turf toe or something.
He's got that foot problem, which is always just a problem for me.
Dude, Antonio Gibson's price over the past 4 months has gone way down. He went from RB9, RB10 to RB18.
I think that's more where he should be.
I agree with you. I mean, if we're going to be complete, this is going to sound ridiculous, I understand, but I think that Brian Robinson is a better runner than Antonio Gibson.
Oh, I think pure runner, absolutely.
I can't go that far yet. I could see it being close.
Whatever.
I don't like this for either of the backs, to be honest.
No,
I'm a huge Brian Robinson guy. I was not happy to see him go in Washington. I wanted him to see him go into
you wanted him to kind of have a Dameon Pierce situation.
Yeah, I would have Houston. Oh, sign me up. But
yeah, no, I understand.
I mean, I'm hoping that he usurps Gibson. I don't think it's impossible, but I think realistically we see a shit show of a backfield where Antonio Gibson is still getting a majority of the touches.
That's possible. 202. Sorry, we got Wan'Dale Robinson. 302. Yes, you're right. Wan'Dale Robinson went 43rd overall to the Giants. This was a pick that it seemed like a reach at the time, and I still kind of think it was.
It's a weird pick.
It's a weird pick. To me, it feels very similar to Kadarius Toney. I think this offense just wants as many versatile, fast wide receivers as possible, and they're just gonna, shift them all over the field and try to see what works.
I will say though, I don't think he should fall to the 3rd round. I think he should.
I agree.
Even at the late second, I'm not a Wan'Dale Robinson guy, but I thought I would the Giants picking him, he would have been like a mid to early second potentially, dude. A very late second, or
he shouldn't fall out of the 2nd round with the draft capital he got. I don't think he should. I
don't mind it at all. I think the comp is like a Dwayne Eskridge. I think he's a little bit of a better Dwayne Eskridge.
Well, that didn't work out great. So
yeah, but Wan'Dale Robinson with his ADP right now, he's not expected to become a great receiver. I actually like this as a dart throw, and I think the even better dart throw is the pick after him, Alec Pierce. I'm not a huge Alec Pierce guy, but fact of the matter is that the landing spot was great in Indy. Yeah. His ADP is very favorable. You can consistently land him at the end of the second round, middle of the second round.
Can I have every shot in the world for that number,
would take him over like all the running backs that we've listed in the past 15 or so picks.
Oh, I don't know if I can go that far.
I like
maybe not Brian Robinson, but
Indy's building a weird, very tall, very fast receiving core between him and Michael Pittman. I'm interested to see how Matt Ryan works with this and how he fits into this offense. Because obviously they're going to pound the rock with, Jonathan Taylor probably 25 times a game because that's finally what they figured out works by the end of the season. So overall, I do like him here. Early third round like this, you really can't miss.
Jalen Tolbert, next pickup at 304.
I really like this pick. I don't know why. To me, he's going to fill the Gallup role that Gallup is now upgrading from, I guess. He's just like a similar player.
Yeah, he's going to be the wide receiver 3, and especially if you think Gallup has some injury concerns and like he might, or CD Lamb misses some
coming
games.
Off an ACL tear.
Yeah. Tolbert.
So he's.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the only problem I have with Tolbert is this upside is so limited, and like the draft capital confirmed that, and then the landing spot is a little bit wacky. But I agree with you. I think he's for a third round pick, he's fine.
I would say I like him for an early third.
Yeah, I do as well. I think I'd value him more as like a late second.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's weird. We've seen the guys going to the top of the second in ADP seem like they should be going in the late second, and the guys that are going late second, early third should be going to the top of the second.
The QBs fucked it up.
I guess the last positive with Jalen Tolbert is that the Cowboys lost a bunch of receivers already. Michael Gallup is projected to miss the beginning of the season. So in terms of someone that could see a pretty nice value increase early in the season, just by sheer playing time, it could be a guy like Jalen Tolbert. It also could potentially be a UDFA scenario there if they signed a UDFA receiver. I have no idea. Joe Herbert or someone in chat might know more than me, but that could be something to keep an eye on in Dallas. If one of those back-end receivers, even potentially second-year back-end receivers, I'm not a huge Simi Fehoko guy, but I just think it seems like one of those scenarios where I'm kind of getting a whiff of there's some bullshit going on. So it might be one of these back-end dudes that is the guy that sees the value increase.
All right. 29 here. We got Tyler Algier. Does anybody have any interest in Tyler Algier? He went to the Falcons. They just cut Mike Davis. They really don't have another running back. Do we think he potentially gets any of this bulk of his carries here?
He's going to get a shot, which is more than a lot of running backs around where he gets drafted can say. That being said, I don't think he's going to capitalize on it.
Me neither, but if you're taking him in the middle of the third, those are mostly dart throws, so I don't hate that as a dart throw. I'm generally fine with his ADP.
Yeah, in chat right now, Skull Dynasty and Joe Herbert are talking about there's a lot of grenade selections. Just okay, if the guy above them gets hurt, all of a sudden they become relevant. Tyler Algier is that. If Cordarrelle Patterson / Dameon Williams get hurt, or honestly just Cordarrelle Patterson, it's there's no one else, he's gonna get a shot, he's gonna get carries.
Yeah, no, I agree.
At 30 here, we have our first undrafted free agent. It is Justin Ross. He signed with the Chiefs. This is the Chiefs bump that everyone's excited about. Obviously, Justin Ross had that first round talent, shown in his freshman year, I should say.
Yep.
And obviously injuries played a big reason. His medicals must have come back so bad that he felt completely undrafted here. Signing with the Chiefs, it's interesting. You can't say it's not. If he could be healthy, it's definitely an interesting landing spot.
I just don't see the upside. Yeah, he might be able to make the roster. He might be able to
this
play.
slot though, like in the third round.
I think I know that a lot of people love the freshman year season and the yards per route run, and if Higgins tweeted about how he's great.
If he entered the draft after his freshman season, he would have been a first round pick.
I disagree with that.
Yes, he would. What he did as a freshman, if he could have entered the draft,
I don't agree with that. He would not have been a first round pick. No shot.
Okay, well, either way, what was the point you were getting? I mean, for me, I get it. Like the injury concerns, the spinal, and like the fact that he went undrafted tells you all you need to know.
I just think his ceiling is like a guy who's going to put 750 yards. He could be good, but I think he's going to really struggle to separate at the top of his route. I mean, he has some nice nuance on his routes. But
I thought I was the separation truther with receivers. No, I'm just kidding. No,
but you're more of you like the guys that do separate. I'm more of if you can't separate at all, then that concerns me a little bit.
Okay. I think in the third round it's okay. I'm not taking him with a second, but I think once you get into the third, the dart throw, because it's just the talent wise. When we were doing our mock drafts, we had him going like in the third round, assuming like that he was going to clear team's medicals. Obviously, that didn't happen. I don't think it's a talent reason he went on draft. I think it's obviously it's the reason he didn't go like early, but I think it was mostly medicals. I don't know. At this point in ADP, I'm okay with it. I'm not touching him in the second though.
All right, at 31, Pierre Strong going to the Patriots. This was a shocking pick, honestly. I did not expect the Patriots to take one, let alone two running backs in the draft. I don't know. This is a crowded backfield. I don't like touching New England running backs. With one fumble, they'll never see the field again in their career. So I don't know what's going on here.
I mean, this to me is another situation where it's like, oh yeah, blaming T-Law for Justin Ross's.
Oh yeah, no, thank you, JT. Yeah, no, Justin Ross would have been a first round pick if he could have entered his freshman year. I stand by that. He was a stud his freshman year.
No, he wouldn't. You guys,
yes, he was bullying starting Bama corners.
Yeah, no, first off, the game that you're referencing is like a fourth string Bama corner who went undrafted, the guy he was bullying. Get the fuck out of here.
All season. He was sick as a freshman.
Guess where they had their starting corners on freaking the actually good receiver on that team, T. Higgins.
He was sick as a freshman.
He had the best quarterback prospect in like the past 5 years throwing him the ball on a loaded Clemson offense with a nasty running attack.
I'm gonna find some articles that were like, or some takes about him from when he was a freshman. Because no, when he was a freshman,
and
people were talking.
He just went fucking undrafted, Lounis. Yeah. That's all I need. The former first round. If he was a first round talent, some team would have taken a shot on him in the 7th round, just
Teams
like they did with Trey Smith. Just like they did with Trey Smith last year, who went in the middle of the 6th. A dude who, just like freaking Justin Ross, might never have played again. So get the fuck out of here. No, he's not a first round talent. You guys are on crack.
They're completely different injuries. It's a spinal injury that's staying with you for the rest of your life.
A heart condition that also screwed with the dude's life. They both completely failed medicals. But one was actually a potential first round talent, and the other is Fugazi first round talent.
It's very thank you, JT. Frank is delusional.
Thank you, Lappy. You know what happens to first round talents? They get drafted. Injury, that's all you need to know,
dude. A spinal injury, dog. It's completely different. You could get paralyzed on the field.
You're strong. This is going to be my wacky take of the day, or at least add it to it. This to me reminds me of the Garrett Wilson fit, where it's like the scheme fit, it checks all the boxes. I think this is probably one of the better scheme fits for Pierre Strong. It's just, where the hell does he fit in this slew of Patriots running backs now?
James White's going to be healthy again. He's another back thrown in there with Ramondre Stevenson, with Damian Harris. And with who they took another running back in this draft, I think in the 7th round. So like this backfield is just packed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to draft Pierre Strong, but I actually do really like the fit. Kyron Williams, 32 to the Rams.
He's gonna back up Akers, and that's about it. He's gonna play a lot of special teams for them, and that's what it is.
I still think the problem is that Akers and Darrell Henderson are still going to be the guys. You need both of them to go down.
Yeah.
Carson Strong to Philly. This is probably like the really weird what the hell is going on fit, because you have Jalen Hurts super mobile and you have Carson. I have one knee strong.
Yeah. Honestly, I'd be surprised if he ever sees the field. So
no, what I think
take him in the third round. No thanks.
What I think this was, I'm not taking him. What I think this was is if the Eagles end up shopping Minshew this offseason, because there was a report that said they were gonna try to shop him this offseason around like training camp. Say like a backup quarterback gets hurt, or I don't know, maybe Seattle, or I don't know, but I think they're going to try to shop him, and then Carson Strong will be second string. But he's an undrafted free agent. I wouldn't.
I like Carson Strong still. The dude's awesome, but he's just one knee McGee. That only gets you so far in the NFL. Jelani Woods to Indy. Really, really interesting landings. But I actually expected this to increase his price more than it actually did. So I think Jelani Woods is a great little pick here at the end of the third.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a lot of people like Kylan Granson as one of those guys that they had breaking out this year, and I think that kind of kills that. I think Jelani Woods is a very athletic tight end that they're going to look to utilize in a few different ways in the passing game. So back of the third round, why not?
Okay, if you guys all like Ross that much, how about you all draft him and tell me how it goes?
Obviously now, we're not talking about now. We're talking about him as a freshman. Now is completely irrelevant. He has that injury.
Okay, so go draft him in the first round as a freshman and tell me how it went.
I can't time travel. If I could, I mean, sure. I mean, even then he couldn't. By the way, he had more yards than T. Higgins that freshman year. But I
don't care. T. Higgins is a better receiver than Justin Ross. You guys are delusional.
All right, you got your boy Calvin Austin going to Pittsburgh, 138 overall from Memphis. What do we think, Frank?
I like it as a little back end third round pick snag, dude. I might be targeting a little bit of Calvin Austin with late third round picks, but I think I maybe might be taking other tight ends here. That's the only issue.
And finally, rounding out the third round.
All right, JT, go ahead. Pick up your Justin Rosses. They'll sit right next to Seth Williams
on special teams. Rounding out the third round, 36th overall, 312. It is Khalil Shakir going to the Buffalo Bills out of Boise State. Everyone's going to, I think, overblow this landing spot. Emmanuel Sanders is gone. Cole Beasley's gone. They're going to overblow this and say that he's going to get a bunch of targets and stuff, but I just don't see it. I think this is another dude.
He doesn't really check enough boxes. I didn't like his tape. I think that he's like a slot guy that struggles to separate. He's good with the ball in his hands. So, like, he'll make some flashy plays. He may have a chance to increase his value, and you can sell him if you pick him up, but I would not be holding him long term.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I think if you can get him...
Oh, my God. Justin Ross was not making T-Law look like the best quarterback prospect. You have it the wrong way.
Joe Herbert.
You have it the wrong way.
Wait, Joe Herbert. I would agree with Frank on Ross, but then we both be wrong. Ross is good, man. Go look back at his freshman year. That's all I'm saying. Just go look back at it. He was a stud.
Yeah, go, dude. You guys are living off of one Alabama game where he torched a I'm talking
him as a freshman.
This dude is working at the laundromat. All right, he's not an NFL corner. You guys, yes, he was playing at Bama, but even Bama has bad players occasionally.
He had 1,000 yards. He had 1,000 yards as a freshman, true freshman. If a receiver did that right now, we'd be hyping them up.
Fair. I mean, with that rounds out the top 3 rounds of the current ADP. Obviously, I think we're still going to see some movers and heading up to rookie drafts. I know a lot of people like to do their rookie drafts right now. I like to personally give it a few months, get it closer to training camp before doing it. But overall, I mean, it's a pretty thin class. I think we can all agree on that. There's a few guys at the top here that we all like in Hall, London, Wilson, Walker, Burks.
I do real quick want to point out 2 tweets that Frank put out that I really agreed with. One, the notion that drafting a running back at 101 if you're a rebuilding team is a bad idea because they're a running back, and no, because of shelf life. And Frank brought up a good point. You draft the best players. Bad players have the shortest shelf life. I thought that was a good point you brought up, Frank, because if I'm 101, even if I'm rebuilding, Breece Hall is the pick.
I mean, look at recent history. Are you really going to be mad if you're
if you're a rebuilding team, you took Jonathan Taylor too. Obviously, he's not Jonathan Taylor, but the point stands.
Yeah, God forbid Najee's shelf life is a couple years shorter than whatever. It's the dude is a top 12 dynasty asset now.
And plus you can
do
flip
not
them.
Draft because of positional shelf life before a player has ever played in the NFL. That is delusional thinking. You're worrying about a player retiring before they've ever played.
Nope, he's done. He's 23 as a rookie. He's finished.
My rookie draft starts Thursday. Good luck out there, Joe. All right, I get now. There's a couple players that we haven't talked about. Tyquan Thornton is a guy that probably will be going.
He's going to be in the first 3 rounds. Yeah.
There's a couple other random running backs that got some interesting spots. We can probably talk about them on another show because this one's running very late. JT's still not dropping the Justin Ross stuff.
We got to bring it back up next episode. Oh, that's a good point, Frank. Oh, JT, listen, we'll continue to debate next episode on Ross. Man,
whether or not the guy who didn't get drafted is a first-round talent.
Frank, if a receiver had a freshman had 1,000 yards next season, would that not?
If he was that good, why did all 32 teams pass on him 7 times?
Because he has
more than that.
Because he has a chronic spinal injury. He can get paralyzed on the football field if he takes the wrong hit. That's why teams didn't take him. I wouldn't even be shocked if he didn't make the roster. I don't know his medicals that well. I just know that's the injury. But was there any other prospects you wanted to touch on that weren't in those first 3 rounds?
I mean, dude, there's a laundry list. There's a bunch of tight ends that are being slept on. Guys like Jeremy Ruckert, Charlie Kolar, Cade Otton, Greg Dulcich. Plenty of nice little tight ends that you can just kind of gobble up in the 4th round, especially if you have deep benches. And just shove them on the taxi, baby. Let them marinate a little bit. See if any of them pan out.
I agree, but overall, draft was fun.
It was fun. We're gonna probably do a rookie mock draft soon with just us 4, kind of snake mode.
JT's just going nuts.
He's going up. But yeah, we'll probably do that. Team analyzers. This episode went a little bit long, but we promised still to do all of those that we promised.
We can do one real quick.
Nah, let's just save it when we can have
because I don't want to rush it.
Yeah, let's just have a full segment for those.
All right, well, we'll have a full segment for him then. So sorry, team analyzer people. We're sorry. We planned on doing that. We will do it next week. I promise you. So yeah, I guess that'll do it from us here. Draft took way longer than we thought, but unsurprisingly.
I mean, it's good we addressed all of them.
Oh, that was a horrible pick. Well, so bad. Anyways, we appreciate you guys. Thanks for tuning in. As always, like, subscribe. See you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, and good luck on your rookie drafts if you're doing them. Don't take the bait.
Feel free to comment any questions if you have.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Skull Dynasty, Joe Herbert, you guys are the lads.
Joe to the R. See you laps.
See you guys.